Welcome. On today's episode of Last Place Podcast, we're joined by Trip Durham, founder of 2D Consulting and also the Duke men's basketball public address announcer. We'll also dive into a couple of funny base stories with Anthony, and we'll rattle off our top 5 sports video games, dig into some interesting butts and seats promos, to say the least. Hopefully you enjoy. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Last Place Pod. Subscribe to us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And as always, let's roll it.
Here's the 1-2 pitch to Palmero. A ground ball past Jenks up the middle of the infield. Uribe has it. He throws. Out! A White Sox winner and a world championship. Puts it up in the winner. Puts it upfield. Driving forward. Diving to the goal line. It's still a touchdown. And the title for the Patriots. 2-3. Here's the throw to the plate. He is safe. Braves win.
Welcome back to the Last Place Podcast. It is episode 2, the Derek Jeter, the Kevin Garnett on the Brooklyn Nets, the Cam Newton on Auburn episode. And we are very excited today. We have Trip Durham. He is our interviewee for the day. He is the public address announcer for Duke men's basketball primarily. He's also done some other Duke sports as well. He also has a consulting firm and also has some experience in minor league baseball. So we had a great chat with him, and we're very excited to share that interview with you all. And we'll get to that in just a moment. But for now, guys, how we doing?
Doing good. So it's a great day.
There's no complaints here. Besides, I have no Wi-Fi, but it's a minor setback for a major comeback. So
Yeah. If you're watching the video,
goes.
Sam's going to be a little lagging behind. How was the move, Sam? How was the move to West Virginia?
It wasn't too bad. It was a nice drive. I stopped in D.C. with my girlfriend's apartment for 2 nights before we drove up here, so we split the drive in half a little bit. But
Nice.
It wasn't too bad. I think Maryland's like the longest state maybe ever. We just drove through Maryland the whole way to get here.
You've never driven through Indiana then, dude.
I've driven to Indiana, that state.
Did you take any country roads?
I'll take you
a lot
home.
of country roads, yeah. Of course. My home for 2 years.
So for those of you listening on just the podcast and haven't watched our video, which is now available on YouTube, we do wear jerseys for each episode. So we didn't get a chance to dive into which ones we were wearing last episode. But for today, Tyler, why don't you share what jersey you're wearing for those just listening to audio?
The GOAT running back right now. Don't at me. Saquon Barkley, Color Rush Giants. Go G-Men. All my Penn State fans out there. I'm repping your boy.
That's disgusting. So have you seen the picture of A.J. Dillon's quads?
Dude, don't – his name is Saquon Barkley for a reason, okay? Don't be trying to find competition for him.
A.J. Dillon's quads are bigger than Saquon's.
Wrong.
I'll say it.
Sam, what are you wearing?
Just some Duke baseball, swag a little bit, but nothing too fancy.
In honor of the Trip Durham interview, of course.
Yes.
Exactly. I had to suck up somewhere.
I am wearing a Adidas sleeved Derrick Rose black Chicago Bulls jersey. The MVP, the career that essentially never was. So much hope here in Chicago, and we were left devastated and still searching for banner number 7.
Yeah, it's going to be a while.
Yeah, it probably will. But change has come to the Bulls organization, and we're very excited. So, anyways, for you all listening at home, my Chicago accent came out there for a second. Yous all. And we wanted to make sure you knew what we were wearing because we got faces for radio, and some of you just listen to the audio. So we're going to go ahead and get right into the interview with Trip Durham, the public address announcer for Duke men's basketball. And here it is. Last Place Podcast fans, we are very, very happy to have our next guest here today. We have Trip Durham, known as the voice of Cameron. He is the PA announcer for Duke basketball. He has been at many memorable games for the Duke Blue Devils and some other sports as well down there at Duke. So we're very excited to have him here today. And Trip, if you could please just go ahead and give us a brief background of your very illustrious career so far in minor league baseball, and then PA announcing, and then also some consulting as well.
I appreciate the invite, and you've obviously been reading up on your dictionary because you're using words to describe me that I would not be comfortable with. So if you had illustrious within the first 2 minutes on your podcast bingo card, you can mark that square. Well done. I am lucky to have been around sport pretty much all my life. I like to think that I came out of the womb with sport. I certainly do not have the talent by which to play on an organized level, but I've been able to follow it and support it and thankfully work in it for a very long time. My first public address gig was my sophomore year in high school back in 1984. And thankfully I've had opportunity to work within it for all these number of years. Certainly a hobby, but a hobby that's become a bit of a passion, which is now interwoven with my DNA. Not really comfortable with the idea of being the voice of Cameron indoor. There are 9,300 other voices on any given day, and mine just happens to be the one with a push to talk button. So happy to be a part of it, but certainly not really comfortable with that title. But no offense, Anthony, that's a title that a lot of people put on a lot of public address announcers throughout the country. So it's just standard, and I get it, but I appreciate it nonetheless.
So Trip, you mind discussing some of your brief overview of your career thus far?
No, I don't mind at all. When I went to East Carolina, I thought I was going to be a broadcast and journalism major. And there was something about the curriculum that just at a young age just wasn't setting for me. So I said, I got to major in something. My mother was an English teacher. My brother, who's behind me, thought that he was going to major in English. So I said, okay, I'll be an English major. I'll teach high school English, and really had a good experience with it early. In the summer of 1991, after my first stint in the classroom, the governor of North Carolina went through budget cutbacks. Education was one of those that fell underneath the pen, as it were. So last hired, first fired. That forced me to look back into another love of mine, which is minor league baseball. Mm-hmm. I spent 5 seasons with the Burlington Indians in the late 80s. So I sent 162 letters to 162 ball clubs. And back then it was with an old brother typewriter. So it wasn't a computer, right? It wasn't any big high Xerox machine. Got 4 letters back. One of the letters happened to be from the ownership group that had the Winston-Salem, then the Spirits. Interviewed with them, 3.5 great seasons there. New ownership comes in and they want to bring in their own people. So out the door I go again. If you're keeping score at home, I was fired twice. After a little bit of soul searching, was able to land on with Elon College at the time. I had spent the 94-95 basketball season as their public address announcer. And as they had already had sights on moving to Division I, having just entered Division II, they knew that they were going to have to start a marketing department, a radio department. So they were kind enough to ask me to fill the role. So it's been about 14 years at Elon. And then after a new athletic director came in and a new change of course, I guess, they asked me not to come back to campus the next day. So again, fans, if you're keeping up with it, now fired 3 times.
Wow.
So decided to take out a billboard, decided to do a little bit more soul searching. And then in May of 2010, opened up my own business, which is 2D Consulting. I work in the college athletic consulting space. Bucket number one, working with colleges and conference offices on brand assessment. Bucket number two, project management within the world of sports, sort of being that part-time employee for somebody that needs an extra pair of hands, as Tyler can certainly attest to.
Absolutely.
And that brings us to today. So without hyperventilating, that's the backstory.
Well, thank you, Trip.
Yes. So Trip, you talked about your time and some minor league baseball, and then transitioning that into college athletics. I know a lot of people in this industry start off maybe some internships in minor league baseball. I know Anthony did. I know I did. And then transitioning that into college athletics. What was the biggest differences for you, or maybe the hardest thing you had to overcome in that transition?
It's a really good question. I think if anybody is going to work in the world of sport, no matter the discipline, they need to pull time in minor league baseball. I have a buddy of mine that worked with the Little Rock Travelers at one point, and he was hired on the idea that, one, he was going to get the best experience in the world, and two, that comes with the price of being part of the cleanup crew after every single game. So he learned the value of hard work, and he also understood what it took from a stadium operations standpoint. So I think that's a brilliant way to frame it. I don't think that there are a whole lot of differences if you have leadership at the college level that is okay in thinking outside the box, especially from a marketing standpoint. There's a lot of crossover. There's a lot of similarities. And as competitive as the entertainment dollar is these days, I think it behooves you to bring some of those minor league experiences with you into college athletics. There are certainly some things in the college world that you cannot do, things that just don't fit.
Sure.
But there are a lot of things you certainly can do. I was on a conference call not too long ago in which somebody had developed the idea in college athletics that for the academic year 2021, they were going to have a guesty attendance contest. Now, if you think about everything that we're going through these days, to me, that's pretty damn funny. And that is a minor league baseball approach into a college athletics problem that needs a ray of sunshine. And that is a bit of a bright spot. So Tyler, the short of it is, I don't think it's too difficult. Depends on the campus, and it certainly depends on the leadership on campus.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Yeah, so I guess could you go more into kind of what 2D consulting kind of does? And then obviously, like in college athletics, there's a lot of headlines from whether it's COVID or paying the players and things like that. So where do you see college athletics?
Well, Sam, you're kind. 2D works, as I said, in two buckets. Bucket number one, which I alluded to a moment ago, which is brand assessment. There are college athletic directors and conference commissioners that know that they have assets and liabilities on their campus and in their community when it comes to athletics. But they're either new to the chair and have so many other things on their plates that they don't have time to do their own assessment, or they've been in that chair for so long, they may just need a fresh set of eyes. My background in college athletics, especially on the external side, I think I'm really good at being able to provide that help. Now, bucket number two is project management. And I'll give you what I think is a stellar example. I got a phone call from the NCAA in the latter part, or actually in the summer of 2012. They were looking for a little bit of help for what was getting ready to be the 75th celebration of March Madness. It was a huge campaign that they were putting together with their partners at CBS, and they needed somebody to help activate it at the campus level. So they asked me if I would be willing to design a program and a plan for Division I, II, and III, so that when the 75th was activated, everybody could participate. And it culminated in 13 in Atlanta with Division I, Division II, and Division III all playing their national championships within a 48-hour period in the same city. So to be a part of that, project management was a lot of fun. Now, where college athletics is headed, Sam, I mean, that's the million-dollar question, right? We're going through so much these days, and there's so much discourse, a lot of it positive, but some of it is a bit dividing, that I don't know that we're really going to see where college athletics is heading through this period, probably for another 18 months or 2 years at least. We'll pick up on indicators every now and then, which will be positive signs along the way. But here's how I've painted some of it. It's just one example of what could be thousands within college athletics is what we're going through. How does, and let's pick a sport, let's pick men's soccer. How does men's soccer recruit for what will end up being the 22-23 academic year in the current environment in which prep athletics is not happening? So tape is not being generated. You really don't have as much opportunity to go into the homes and visit in the living rooms. So how will you evaluate talent? And will it be a good mesh for the program that you're putting together 2 years down the road? Are the personalities not going to fit? Does the skill level not live up to the expectation that the campus has, that the community expects? I think we're going to see a really neat study in recruiting and how the games are played 2 or 3 years from now. Again, it's anybody's best guess.
Sure. That's probably the best way to put it. Who knows?
Who's to say? No one knows.
And, going into COVID, let's say January 3rd, if somebody would have come to you and said, Sam, I need to know this, this, and this. What do you think? And if you said, I don't know, in January, you would be cast out to the back 40, never to be seen again. Today,
that is true.
It's okay to say, I don't know.
Right.
Because there are so many conversations in which we have no idea what the end result is going to be. So it's actually okay to say, I don't know. And I think you should have confidence in saying, I don't know. So where's college athletics after this? I don't know.
I love that. So Trip, how did you land the prestigious role of Duke's public address announcer?
I answered a flyer. No. It's a bit of a backstory, and I think it lines up pretty well with the idea that it's best to make sure that your brand stays stable throughout your entire life. When I was moving up in the ranks of the executive team for NACMA, and some of you who are listening know NACMA as being the National Association for College Marketing Administrators. When I was moving up to be the president of that organization, on the same track moving up to be president for NACDA, which is the Athletic Directors Association, it was Kevin White. Kevin was at Notre Dame at the time. So there were places where Kevin and I had a chance to say hello, but hadn't really developed a full-blown relationship. When Elon asked me to exit in the spring of 2009, Kevin was pretty much brand new to Duke. I think he had made the jump from Notre Dame to Duke after, it might have been an 8 or a 12-month separation there by the time I reached out to him. And I reached out to say, I'm not looking for a job. I just want you to know that I'm 30 minutes down the road to your west. So if there's anything I can do for you, just please let me know. And after a short meeting, he said, look, I want you to get in touch with this guy. And this guy was Boo Corrigan, Boo, who is now the athletic director at NC State. As soon as I got back home, Boo called and he goes, come back to campus, let's meet. So the next day I turned right back around and went to Duke. Boo said, I want to introduce you to this guy over here. And he walked me down the hall. And at the time, the person that he introduced me to was Art Chase. Art has been at Duke for a very long time in the communications world, but Art was at Presbyterian at the same time that I was at Elon, at the same time that PC and Elon were both part of the South Atlantic Conference. Art said, we're going to need a new football PA guy. Here's some copy. Go home, cut it, send it in to me. I did. And about 2 months later, I got a call from then the director of marketing, Bart Smith. And Bart said, we'd like for you to handle football public address. Well, I was over the moon. Yeah. And then there was a comma and you always like comma and, right? You don't like comma but. Comma and.
Right.
Our volleyball coach was walking by my office and she heard your audition. And she wanted to know if you might have an interest in handling public address for volleyball. Well, I immediately put one and one together and came up with Cameron Indoor. And so I figured with volleyball playing in Cameron, if I could introduce, this sounds really pretentious, I know, but if I could introduce my sound into Cameron, then if there's ever an opportunity, maybe they would ask me if I prove myself at football, if I maintain my brand and what it is that I think I'm all about, maybe I'll get a chance. Well, it just so happened Dr. Art Chandler, who had been the public address announcer at Cameron Indoor for 40 years, from 1970 to 2010, he announced his retirement. July of 10, Duke is fresh off the Final Four victory in Indianapolis. I am asked to meet with Duke. I think it was July 13 of 2010. I was called into Mike Saab's office. Mike sat me down with Bart Smith. They sat me in a chair, a bench chair from Indianapolis from just a few months prior. And Mike asked me if I'd be interested in the position. And I think before it even got out of his mouth, I probably said yes. So that's how it all came about. So I think it's a study, as I mentioned at the beginning, of keeping your nose clean, keeping your attitude right, keeping your ears open, and never saying no. I know that sometimes no is hard to tell people, but if you can avoid saying no, avoid saying no.
How do you feel having the last name Durham played into earning that position?
It's I don't know what the right word is. I don't know if it's serendipitous. I don't know if it's cool, because when you grow up with a last name, you don't, this is hard for Sam Place because there's no Placeville, right?
Right.
No Placeboro.
That's my knowledge now.
But when you drive to Durham and see the name up on the sign, you really don't think anything of it.
Mm-hmm.
And as it turns out, this is not what you asked, but this is what I'm going to tell you.
That's okay.
As it turns out, my fourth grade uncle is Bartlett Durham, and Bartlett Durham is the one that donated the land by which the rail station was built in what is now Durham. And you know how it was back in the day. You give some money, you give some land, and they slap your name on something. Well, they slapped his name on the train depot, and what do you know?
There you go.
So there is something, maybe syncopation is the way that I would put it. I don't know. It is. I don't give it a whole lot of thought, to be honest with you.
Sure. That's cool.
That's all that I would ever think about.
Yeah, and there might be a Popeville, Tyler. I don't know.
I mean, if I were ever to land the Pope gig, I mean.
Oh, there you go, right?
We have to do some conversion first.
Yeah. Got to become Catholic.
Funny.
So obviously you've seen a lot of amazing talents play in Cameron Indoor. Who's your favorite player to see?
See, I can't answer the favorite, and people have asked me that. So I actually spent some time today reflecting on that, because I try to think about it every once in a while, the amount of talent that's come through. So for those of you at home, you can't see it, but guys, I have it here.
Okay.
Can I give you my top 10 plus one?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
In no particular order, Michael Snare, Florida State. He hit a buzzer beater against Duke in 2012 that when I walk into Cameron, I can still see number 21 spotting up from that spot at the buzzer to beat Duke by 3. Ryan Kelly at Duke. Ryan is went to high school at Ravenscroft in Raleigh. Just one of those all-around good guys, can play a really big 2 or a really lean 5 if he has to be. He was out for a couple of months during the 2013 season and came back and lit it up against Miami for 36 points, and just an absolute display in Cameron that night. Marcus Page at North Carolina is on my top 10 plus one. I've got a lot of guards on my list. Glenn Robinson III had played at Michigan, came through as part of the Big Ten Challenge. He's on that list. Joe Harris was one of my all-time favorites to roll through Cameron when he was at UVA. Just blue collar. Another blue collar player that was through was Trevor Cooney, who played at Syracuse.
Okay. Always
fun when the ball got into his hands. Steve Asturia at Notre Dame, one of the quickest three-point shots and just sneaky. Just when you didn't think Notre Dame had 4 guys on the offensive end of the floor, here comes Asturia, and he pops a 3 from 32 feet, and it hits nothing but nylon. You're like, where did that guy come from? Grayson Allen. Some people love to hate him. Just always blue collar again, gritty. Whenever he was on the floor, you knew that something was going to happen. Justin Jackson, I think, had one of the purest three-point strokes at North Carolina. Never got too high, never got too low. Body language was always just really calm, cool, and collected. And then Draymond Green at Michigan State, when Michigan State came through for the Big Ten Challenge, he finishes out my top 10. And then my plus one, all three of you could answer it at the same time. 1, 2, 3.
Zion Williamson.
No question.
Zion.
He had a side out throw in after a dead ball, and the officials were putting the ball at the scores table, which I thought was a really odd place to set the throw in because there's about 4 inches from the table to the end line. And Zion was being handed the ball, and he's right in front of my position. And I looked up, I looked up again, so tall in stature, and then looking left to right, from shoulder to shoulder. That took me a good 5 minutes as well. And seemed to be, and I'm not around the student athletes, nor do I feel like I need to be, but just seemed like a really good kid.
Yeah, I went to high school at Cardinal Gibbons. When I was there, we did play against Ryan Kelly when he was at Ravenscroft, and I think he dropped about 40 on us. So I can confirm he's very good.
Think about that game with Miami. You could see that he was nervous at the jump ball. I remember looking diagonal left where he was taking his position for the toss, and he had just jumped up, grabbed his knees, and then went back down, right, to sort of get that last stretch in. And then he inhaled this mega breath that filled his cheeks like a chipmunk before he exhaled. And you could tell that he was ready, he was nervous, and then just hammered the Hurricanes for 36.
Wow.
It was a lot of fun to
I
watch.
think I remember that game too.
It was awesome.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Wow.
So you just rattled off your best players you've ever seen. How about your favorite player's name to announce?
That's a really good question. Andre Dawkins. Played for Duke on and off. His sister had gone through a really tough time, and as a result, Andre had gone through a tough time. So he was in and out of the program. But when he was in, the 3-pointers that he would launch and just the way that he would slip the screen and get to the hole for a cut, just dynamic. And the way that Andre Dawkins would roll off after the crowd got behind him just seemed to compliment. And so over the years, if there's one consistent, it's probably him.
That's a great name too. It's a strong basketball name.
Yeah, it just sort of rolls. You get the D in both names, right? Andre and Dawkins. And then you get the hard K in there as well. It's just it just works.
Yeah.
I'll have everybody who's listening today, after we're done, go into your backyard and just practice Andre Dawkins and see what happens.
I like that.
Anthony,
All of us
homework.
being, yeah, exactly. Homework for you. Last Place Podcast homework. So all of us being marketing guys here, we've all sat at the table and being by the PA announcer as well. You're right by the benches, and specifically the home bench most of the time. And so you really get to see, depending on the venue, of course, you really get to see the coaches and how they interact with the student athletes and even the refs, of course. So we got to ask you, is Coach K a guy you'd get a beer with?
I would have a beer. From what I understand, he would probably have a glass of red wine.
Okay.
But I think anybody, Anthony, that is a leader that you aspire to be around, that's the type of person that you would like to have a drink with. And he certainly would be in the top 3 of that without question. What's fun about Cameron and the way that the coaches' boxes were extended a couple of years ago, we're to a point based on my position at the table where the head coach is pretty much right at my position during the course of the ball game. That is the furthest line of demarcation where he can go. So it's actually as much fun, if not a little bit more intriguing, to watch the visiting personalities that come through as opposed to being a little bit further distant and with the noise not being able to pick up on Coach K any more than I can. There are times in which it is fun to watch Coach's personality sort of come out a little bit. He's got a wry sense of humor without question. But there have been visiting coaches that have come through, and I can't remember. I keep my own spot sheet for every game, and I keep notes on the back just so that I can remember, I can look back, I can reflect. But there's one coach a couple of years ago that right out of the intermission break, their team scores the first 4 of the second half. And while play is going on, he looks at the table very nonchalant and he goes, we're winning the second half. You get personalities like that come through. The Stephen F. Austin head coach this past year, just a wonderful character from the opening tip to the final buzzer. And you don't cheer for the opposition by any means, especially when you're the home public address announcer. But you feel pretty good when you're watching a guy's character during the course of the ball game, and they are able to do something as special as what SFA was able to do.
That's cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
One thing before we get to our last little bit here, if you're watching the audio, I'll try to explain the amount of credentials Trip has behind him. But if you're able to get to the video, you have to see this collection. I know I collect my credentials. Anthony, you collect your credentials. Sam, do you collect your credentials? Yeah. So I know that's kind of a big thing for us marketing guys. You happen to have like a very favorite one just sitting back there behind you?
When you get as old as I am, you have a lot of credentials, right?
Right.
That's a really good question. My favorite might be the Final Four of 2013. It was my first and only Final Four. And because I had been helping out the NCAA with the 75th celebration, and I've got some really good friends within that office, I got a call on Sunday between the semis and the national that said, we need some help handing out hats to the winner after the game. Yes, please sign me up.
Yep.
That's cool.
So Louisville wins that year. The cannon goes off up in the rafters and the streamers come down. And when I say cannons, it was loud to the point where you could see Coach Pitino sort of flinch because he wasn't sure what was going on.
Well, that's,
So the streamers come down and I'm handing out hats to Louisville, and Kevin Ware comes into view for me. And Kevin was the young man that had his leg go in about 5 different places against Duke during that tournament. And he was on the bench coming off in crutches. I see him, and then I see this large camera with a huge trunk line on it. And I'm like, oh, I bet that's CBS. And I didn't think for a moment. I didn't process it. I just went up and handed Kevin Ware his hat. And my phone blew off after that. Was able to stand on the floor, look up, and watch the One Shining Moment video.
Oh,
So I think that might be my favorite credential to this point.
that's fantastic.
But they're all
That's
fantastic.
wonderful.
They all have their own story, though. That just happens to be the one, Tyler, since you asked it, that stands out.
Yeah, I think that's incredible. Like I like that each credential has its own story kind of deal. Like I definitely feel that.
Well, Trip, thank you very much for joining today on the Last Place podcast. We really appreciate your time and squeezing in some moments to tell us some great players and moments from Cameron Indoor and some of your minor league days as well. I think a lot of the listeners can take away a lot from this conversation. So we really appreciate it, and we wish you the best of luck in this who knows landscape of college athletics.
Flattered to be a part of it. And when you guys celebrate episode 100 and you want to bring back some of your greatest hits, give me a call. And by then, maybe I'll have a hot topic that I can actually.
It'll give you plenty of time.
Perfect.
All right, guys.
Yeah, thank you very much.
All right. Thanks again to Trip Durham for coming on the show, giving us his insight into little college athletics, minor league baseball, and some awesome stories from Duke. So we'll get right into our segments here. Everybody's favorite eBay segment. We've had a lot of requests for his eBay account this past week. Anthony Sperando. Here's Anthony's finds.
Thank you, everybody, for being interested in my eBay store. My eBay username is Viking Fan Ant. For those of you interested, I promise this is not just a sales pitch. So here's the find. Found this probably a couple months ago, actually. And here it is. It is an NFL Street
Ooh.
Wilson football.
Oh, okay.
Where'd you find that?
This was at a local Goodwill here in Chicagoland. And this will tie into our top 5 this week.
Oh,
our top 5, which we'll get into. So, again, it is a NFL Street Wilson football, an actual sized Wilson football with the NFL Street logo. It's got purple stripes, silver stripes.
That purple stripe is nice. I like that.
Right?
It looks clean.
Yeah. So I think it was $3 at Goodwill. We'll go ahead and play the game once again. Any guesses on the value, guys?
I gotta go. Dude, it can't be that much, dude. It's like $25.
That's what we said about the shorts.
I know. And then it was like 150 or whatever. Yeah. It's a football though. It's NFL Street football.
I'll go $35.
Sam's the winner, $35.
On the spot?
Got it.
Does he win the football?
If he pays me $35, yes. Yeah, so it's comparables are selling for about 35, sometimes 30, sometimes 40. So we'll call it in the middle, 35.
Nice. You sold anything lately?
Sold a few things, some old toys that I've scavenged from my parents' basement. A little Bugs Life toy. A SpongeBob plate yesterday. That was another one of my collectibles.
What did that go for?
That was $15. You know, that'll buy me lunch.
So good.
Today. So yeah. Nothing too crazy. I did sell a box of Nike golf balls, which are no longer made. That sold for $50 since they're rare now. So sales are picking up. It was crazy for a while there when quarantine first started, and then it kind of died off because everybody was going outside, everybody's going back to the stores. And honestly, there's typically a summer slowdown, as they call it. But sales are starting to pick back up, and I expect, unfortunately, when we do get some sort of second wave here of the virus, that people may be back in their homes, and my sales are going to pick up, which are great because my wedding's around the corner, and those don't pay for themselves.
So I know you've had a lot of crazy stuff on eBay. The one that comes to my mind the most is that Mountain Dew can you sold. For the listeners at home, Anthony, you want to explain this Mountain Dew can that you sold on eBay? I think it was a Game Fuel, maybe?
Yeah, so
I gotta hear this.
That's probably, there's a couple funny ones like that. That is a funny one. So a couple of years ago now, I listed, so some background knowledge, I'm a big Mountain Dew guy. If you watched the video from last podcast, you saw me drink
no free ads.
a Liberty Brew, Mountain Dew special flavor. And I specifically like the different flavors. So a lot of times I'll keep one of the cans or bottles from one of the new variant flavors. So I had kept a Game Fuel can from a few years ago. Mind you, I drank it, so it was open. From the top, the pop tab was undone. And so I had an extra one. So I figured, I'll toss it on eBay. And it sold $5.
For an open Mountain Dew can.
For an open Mountain Dew can. Now that's probably my top 5 of favorite stories. My other one, which I will share with you today, is the Wendy's toy. So a lot of fast food joints have been doing discounts through their apps, trying to drive traffic during these crazy times. And so Wendy's had a free kids meal if you buy something. Okay. So I went to Wendy's. I got a $1 burger. Okay. And then I added on a free kids meal. Well, got home, I got a toy. It was like this little giraffe. Tossed it on eBay. Sold $7.
That's insane.
I got paid to eat Wendy's.
So
Oh
what
my God.
how did you put that in the like description for it? Where you're like just like Wendy's toy giraffe?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Wendy's toy giraffe, rare, exclusive.
Rare. It's a rare find. Wendy's probably has an
Can't get this
entire
at any other
box of them.
Wendy's.
Yeah, every Wendy's probably has an entire box of them, but they're rare.
So, yeah.
Wow. All right.
Yeah.
That's some great stories.
That is, thank you. Yeah, that's my finds of the week. And it transitions very well into our top 5.
Let's do it.
Let me bring the NFL Street Football back into the view here of the cameras, because our top 5 of the week are top sports video games of all time.
Let's do it.
And we're going to clean up our draft
Maybe once,
process a little bit this week. We're going to have each gentleman on here give their top 5 in a row. So we're going to start the same way as we did last time. The namesake of our podcast, Sam Place. All you, my guy.
Let's hear it, buddy.
All right. So number 5 is Mario Kart.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Number 4, Mario Tennis.
Big Mario guy.
Number 3. NHL Hits 2002.
Okay. Yes.
Ooh,
I don't know if y'all know that one.
NHL Hits was a great game.
that's an
Number
old
2
one.
is SSX 3.
Oh, jeez.
SSX 3 is my number 2. And then number 1 is, of course, NBA Street Volume 2.
Nice.
Okay.
Very nice.
And my honorable mentions was NFL Street and Rocket League. And then Red Card 2003, if anyone knows what that is.
Red Car 2003. Please explain that. Sam now lives in West Virginia, so the internet is not the best.
Yes.
It was pretty much
third
like
world.
MLB Slugfest, but
MLB Slugfest, but soccer. Okay. Got it.
yeah,
Okay.
so you could legit just like Spartan kick people. It was awesome.
Wow.
That's an honorable mention.
That's his honorable mention. Perfect. All right.
So
All right. Tyler.
All right.
Let's hear it.
So for my number 5, NBA Live 2006, I had it for the GameCube.
Thanks for specifying. Specifically GameCube of all systems.
That, I felt like that had to be
the worst system I think ever.
And the
Okay,
worst
listen.
controller of all time.
okay. Listen, you're not wrong, but all right. Number 4. This one's gonna be a little hot. I don't know if Anthony's really gonna agree with me. SmackDown versus Raw 2005 WWE on the PS2. I don't care what you say, Anthony. They're athletes. It's a sport.
We said sports.
It's a sport.
Okay.
Sports entertainment.
Entertainment.
Oh,
Entertainment.
heavens.
Got it.
Number 3, Madden 06 with McNabb on the cover.
Ooh. Now, what system? Since you're starting on that train.
PS2.
PS2. Okay.
Yep, I had PS2 for the SmackDown versus
Yes,
Raw as
it's
well.
true. Specifying those.
What about Madden 06 is burning in your brain?
I just remember
Is that the
playing
one?
it.
Was that the one with like the QB vision?
Yes, the QB
Yes.
cone.
That's
Yes.
it.
And I remember playing it like all the time, and they had like
Cone sucked.
the skill games. The skill games
Oh,
that you could do.
yeah.
Dude, I remember playing that nonstop on my PS2. Like it was
And the
either,
franchise mode was still great.
yeah, it was very good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And it had McNabb on the cover. McNabb's like one of the few Eagles I will ever respect. So, go Giants. Number 2, I know me and Sam had talked about this one before we got on here, but Wii Sports.
What?
Yes, dude, tell me that's not a classic game.
It counts.
Bowling,
It counts.
tennis, baseball,
It counts.
boxing. Dude, Wii Sports. Also, an honorable mention before I get to my number one, Wii Sports Resort.
Never played it.
Dude,
Never played
Archery
it.
was
game.
awesome.
I've resold it on eBay, but I've never played it.
Archery's awesome.
Dude, don't hate on the Wii
kept
Sports.
that one then.
All right, my number one, and we've already mentioned it, ironically, MLB Slugfest 2006.
Ooh.
For the regular Xbox is what I had it for. Like the original.
Who was on that
Xbox.
cover? Pujols?
Yes. Yes.
Pujols.
I think there were 3 people on the cover, but Pujols was definitely one of them. Yeah. Couple honorable mentions. First off, going back to Slugfest real quick, being able to catch on fire when you're on the base and like just charge the mound, dude, that was every kid's dream.
Yeah, I mean that's how NHL hits was.
Yeah.
Like the players just catch on fire and you just wreak havoc. It's fantastic.
Exactly.
So, a couple honorable mentions just before we move on to you, Anthony. NBA 2K13 I thought was pretty good with Griffin, Durant, and Rose on the cover. And then Tiger Woods PGA Tour, the Masters.
Ooh, yes.
Very good. I really enjoyed that one. Yeah, there's my top 5.
You can't beat Augusta.
No.
All right, so your pick of hits and slugfest, picks of hits and slugfest are going to transition very well into my number 5, NFL Blitz 2000.
Dude, I had NFL Blitz on. Is that that's not the one on the 64?
I was thinking about putting that.
It was for the 64.
Yes, I had the one for the 64.
I had it for PlayStation 1, but it was available on N64 and arcade.
Yeah, I had a buddy who had it for regular Xbox, and it was so much fun.
Really?
Yeah. It wasn't 2000. It was like NFL Blitz the League or something like that.
It's a great game. You know, it's arcadey.
Yeah.
You know, you hit people after the whistle. It's great.
Yeah.
All right, this one you guys may not have even heard of. My number 4, NFL QB Club 2002.
Ooh.
So it was.
Nope, never heard of it.
It was a typical NFL game, but there was an extra game mode of the QB Club. And so years ago at the Pro Bowls, they had like a quarterback skills challenge.
Yeah. Yep.
You could do that in this game with all of the quarterbacks in the game.
That's sick.
So you could take Ty Detmer in shorts and a T-shirt.
That's not bad.
Throw at targets. It was awesome.
Dude, that's incredible. I gotta look for that one.
Well worth the 99 cents I bought it for at GameStop years ago.
Oh, yeah.
My number 3, NFL Street 2.
Nice. Classic.
Classic game.
I never played 2.
You never played 2?
I only played the first one.
It's a shame. The game breakers were better. It was just better.
Yeah, it was.
Go get it. My number 2 is the best baseball game of all time. I can't believe you guys didn't have it. I can't believe you guys didn't have my number 2 and number 1. My number 2, MVP Baseball 2005.
I knew you were going to pick that one. I was going to leave it off my list just for you.
Okay, perfect. Manny Ramirez on the cover to jog your memories. Great game, easy to hit home runs. Game modes were great.
Yeah, one of my favorite things to do when I was with you at NIU was make the NIU baseball MVP baseball cover. That was awesome to make.
That's right. We had MVP Baseball Day.
Yeah.
We gave away a copy of MVP Baseball 2004.
That we got at Goodwill.
Not bad. Not bad at all.
No.
What's in seats? No.
All right. My number 1, the greatest sports video game of all time, and I can't believe you guys didn't pick it, ESPN NFL 2K5.
Oh my God. That's TO, right?
That's not
TO on the cover.
TO.
ESPN broadcast, Chris Berman halftime show, any NFL uniform, basically of all time, you could choose from. You had your crib that you could decorate by earning points throughout the game. You had first-person player mode where you're inside a helmet running around. The gameplay was pretty good. And best of all, when it was brand new in 2004 at the stores, $19.99. It was $20 compared to Madden 2005.
Compared to like 50
was
or whatever
50
they
at
were.
the time. Correct.
Wow.
Yep.
And what's crazy is Madden was coming off possibly their best game they've ever made in Madden 04, to be honest.
Correct. It was a big one. 100%. And Madden 05 is a great game, too, with Ray Lewis on the cover.
Yes,
that's when
Lewis, that's who it was.
I just hate all Madden. I hate Chris Collinsworth. Yeah. I just hate all Madden games. They can get out of here.
All right, that is our top 5. Make sure to look at our Twitter page for a graphic with those picks. Tyler's been doing a great job with those.
Thank you.
And tweet at us or send us a message, DM us.
What did we miss?
One of the games from your top 5. I know there's a lot out there. There's some quirky ones like Wii Sports or Red Car 2002. So, send us those. So we'll get to our next segment, Butts in Seats.
I'm excited, boys.
We had a lot of fun with it last week.
Yeah.
With
this will be a good one.
Indoor plumbing night. So we did a lot of research on our own, and we think we brought some good ones to the table. We do not know what each other's picks are. So these will be natural reactions and natural yeses or nos. Tyler, start us out.
All right. The year is 2002. You're in Charleston for a Charleston River Dogs game.
Ooh.
But here's the ironic part for our segment. It is nobody night.
I've seen this one.
Yes. So they tried to set the record for the lowest attendance at a professional baseball game. I know what you're thinking, Anthony. How does this go into butts and seats? I know. As of right now, there are no butts and seats. So they padlocked the gates for the first 5 innings. But don't worry. Fans were not turned away. They were directed to like a nearby tent area where they could have discounted food, discounted beer until after the 5th inning. Had some people grab some ladders and peek over the fence at the game. So here's the aftermath of it, though. The official attendance was 0 because after the 5th inning, they let them into the game, but they took the attendance in the 5th inning. The National Baseball Hall of Fame records, they record attendance through ticket sales, not official attendance recorded by the team. So they didn't actually get the record for it. They just had 5 innings of no one in the stands for no reason. But for the fans that showed up for the tent party, they were counted in attendance because they bought tickets. So for the National Baseball Hall of Fame, the attendance was not 0. So they were denied the record. The best part is River Dogs wound up losing the game 4-2, and all the runs came with no one in the stands. So, technically, there were no butts in seats, but it did bring people to the game. Thoughts on nobody night?
I mean, where was the tent? Was it like in the outfield?
Yeah, it was behind the outfield wall.
Okay, so you could technically still see the game.
Yeah.
If you were able to look over the fence. I mean, the fence was like, the wall was kind of tall. Like, people had to grab ladders to look over it.
I don't know.
That doesn't sound...
I don't understand it.
I mean,
I
don't get it. Why would you want no one there?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Well,
what is the point?
Record.
Yeah.
But
somebody didn't do their research, obviously, because the Baseball Hall of Fame goes based on ticket sales, and they sold tickets. So.
I mean, it must have been like good discounts, though. I mean, people want to go and just gas, but I don't know. Yeah.
There's my butt.
Yeah, I just I don't know. Can you imagine a longtime season ticket holder and walking up to the stadium, expecting to go sit in your seat, and the gates are locked?
Yeah,
I
just a
would not be
padlock.
pleased. I would not be pleased. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
And then you're told, oh, yeah, walk around the stadium and go to the outfield or go freaking behind the outfield fence.
Yeah, don't worry. There's discounted food and beer out there.
Yeah. It'll all be worth it. We promise. We'll be in the record books for this one.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, if you were just an occasional fan and you just go to a couple games a year, you circle this date?
I don't think
Yes.
so.
Yeah, I would.
Yes, you would?
I would be curious, dude. Like, nobody night? What are they going to do?
That's fair.
I don't know. I think it might raise curiosity.
It will for sure raise curiosity.
If I was like
sales.
in town and I was like, I want to go to a River Dogs game, and that was on the calendar, I'd be mad. I'd be so mad. I'd be like, I kind of want to go catch a ball game. Let's go to the River Dogs. You walk up, you go to buy a ticket, gates padlocked. What? What is happening?
Yeah, I think it's another one of those where they're just trying to get some social media coverage, maybe some local news coverage, some media.
Now they're on Last Place podcast. So
right. So I guess
they've made it. They've officially made it.
Campaign, even though it's 2002.
18 years later, baby.
Yeah.
Finally getting the recognition they deserve.
Exactly. Charleston River Dogs, if you're listening, we got your back.
Sam, let's hear your butts and seats.
All right. So this is 2008 at I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right, Mahoning Valley Scrappers game. And the promotion was all you can eat night. But what do you guys think the giveaway was for all you can eat night?
I would hope a bib. I was just going to say bib.
A bib.
There was a liposuction giveaway. I didn't really research much more, but it said that the team selected 5 finalists, and then they settled on a lucky winner for free liposuction treatment. I don't know if, I don't know.
Little testy.
I know. I was like, which one needs it more? I think you do. Like, how would they choose that?
Like,
let's go to the Scrappers game. I heard they're giving away liposuction.
Yeah. Hey, you need to lose weight, man? We can head over to the Scrappers game, man. I mean, they'll liposuction you over there.
Yeah, hey, man, your odds are pretty good. You're looking pretty big nowadays. I don't know. Might want to go check it out.
Wow. There's some crazy giveaways I've heard, but that one, top 5 at least.
All right. Well, butts and
yeah, it for sure caught me off guard.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. All you can eat night? Yeah, right. Absolutely. Butts and seats.
I was gonna say. I mean, I'm sure they put that with some like good food deals and stuff. So I'd say yes.
I agree. I think it's a yes as well.
Although I'm gonna have to scan the crowd before I go in there because I don't want to be one of the biggest ones.
I don't know, man. Free liposuction.
Can't beat it.
You're right. I mean, it's free.
Can't beat it. Yeah.
Bad.
All right. My selection is last year, the last minor league baseball season that has been played.
Okay.
2019, April 18th, Lansing Lugnuts.
Ooh.
Purge night. Purge night. All right.
Like,
so yes, playing off the movie.
Okay.
So this is what happened. The purge will occur at a random point throughout the game. Okay. And at that point you will hear.
Oh my God.
This is your emergency broadcast system announcing the commencement of the annual purge.
At that point, all concessions are free for 1/2 inning. Not including.
What?
Give me that all day.
Dude, could you imagine? Wait. So could you imagine waiting in the back of the line and getting right up to it, and they get the third out right before you're about to order, and you don't get free concessions?
You know
I
that
would be
happen.
livid.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, I would be so mad.
And you don't know when it's going to happen. So, some guy just stood at the concession stand. I'm here. I'm waiting. I'm ready for the purge.
The whole game, he's just standing at the concession stand. You guys know when that purge is coming, right? I'll be here. I also went to all-you-can-eat night over there at the Scrapper. I got the
I was going to say, I mean,
I just drives across the country looking for free ballpark.
I also got discounted food and discounted beer back in 2002 at the Charleston River Dogs game. It's the same guy coming all three of our butts and seats promos.
Oh, boy.
That guy would be me. Yes, I'd be me.
Butts and seats, yes or no? Purge night at the Lansing Lions.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I think they could name it something different, but
yeah, it's a little violent, maybe.
I mean,
honestly,
yeah.
I don't even know if I'd go for the free concessions. I think I would go to stand on the concourse and watch what happened. I want to see someone jump
Just
over a
freaking people
concession
watch?
line. Yeah, that's the best place to people
watch the senior citizens when the siren goes off. Watch them dash for the tornado shelter.
the nuclear bomb shelter.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Burnt the
Cold
turtle.
War
Freaking
was
a Granny has her cane, just hitting people with it, trying to get in the line. No, I mean, that's awesome.
Oh boy.
Yes, butts and seats, absolutely. I would go.
Yes.
Yes.
Cool.
Those are our butts and seats for the week. If you see a marketing campaign, a theme day, a merchandise item that you think we need to judge, send it to us, tweet it at us, DM us, text it to one of us, and we'll be sure to discuss it on that next week's show. Not a problem. Can't believe it. That is all of our segments for this week. We had a great second episode with our interview with Trip Durham, the public address announcer for Duke men's basketball. Great insight on Duke basketball and also college athletics as a whole. As he said himself, who knows? And we had some great segments as well. Appreciate you joining us. Tyler and Sam, anything to look forward to this week?
Just
my Wi-Fi gets fixed.
Yeah, we really hope Sam's Wi-Fi gets fixed. That would be ideal. Once we all establish a strong Wi-Fi connection, that is the plan.
But before we end the podcast, Tyler, I know there was a new uniform you wanted to discuss real fast.
Oh yeah. How do you guys think about the Toon Squad uniforms? The new Toon Squad. Yeah.
PU.
They're absolutely disgusting. They are nasty.
PU.
Why would you replace a beautiful, legendary, classic Toon Squad uniform with that dumpster fire pile of garbage?
So those of you at home who haven't seen him yet,
and that bum of an athlete.
they basically took the Looney Tunes circle. Okay, it was in the middle of the Toon Squad jersey. They put it basically taking up half of the uniform, jersey and shorts.
And the background of behind the circle part, the rest of the uniform is light blue, and it is horrendous.
It's not good.
No,
it's not good.
We do want to hear your thoughts. We'll share it on our Twitter account. Give us your thoughts on what you think of the new Space Jam jersey.
That's right.
Hopefully you agree with us, or else you have bad taste in uniforms.
That'll do it for this week's podcast. Thank you again for joining us, and we will see you next Wednesday. That's right, every Wednesday. Miércoles in Spanish, something in another language. We will see you then.
Have a good one, guys.
See ya.